I love to be wrong about something. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of people in this world, they will double down to not, you know what I mean? That's why we have so many problems in this country right now, because nobody can admit when they're wrong.
Okay.
I was proven wrong.
Okay, so to set this all up, we're going to go back to a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
We were talking about alleged mismanagement of funds within King County government, and we were saying, well, we need to get to the bottom of this, and we need to have someone from the county council respond. And this is specifically what you said, Gee.
Anybody from King County Council, come on to the show and explain to us, wait a minute, Gee, you're wrong. There will be consequences. Tell me I'm wrong. And in that way, I can get on the show and say, hey, everybody, I was wrong.
Paul?
Somebody's going to be held accountable.
We'll put out the request.
Somebody's going to be held accountable. Hey, watch. And here's a guarantee. Watch this. I'm willing to bet, Ursula, we have put out the request. I guarantee you. You know, because they say the Gee and Ursula Show, we ask softball questions. Nobody going to come on the show and want to talk about this. Nobody wants to talk about this.
But the invitation is there.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? You were wrong.
I was wrong. And wait a minute. And listen, here's the best part. I'm glad you played that, and I set this up.
Yes.
That means, am I going to be proven wrong that there's somebody going to be held accountable?
Okay, we're going to find out.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to find out right now.
Okay, let's see.
What's new at 10?
So to set the scene, a new investigation by the Seattle Times is raising serious questions about how King County is handling our tax dollars. Specifically, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars, possibly even more, paid out to contractors who, in some cases, couldn't show the work they were supposed to be doing or even prove where that money exactly went. And warnings were there. Internal complaints, anonymous tips, even some employees raising red flags about possible fraud, and still payments from the Department of Community and Human Services kept on going. In one case, a county employee flagged what he believed was potential fraud, and then he claims he was fired just days later. So our question is, where was the oversight, and what's changing now? So joining us live in studio is King County Councilmember Rod Dembowski. First of all, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Ursula. It's great to be here. Gee, great to meet you.
You too.
I understand you got a big birthday coming up.
Yes, sir.
And you're a guy that wears bling pretty well. I brought you one of our MLK lapel pins to add to the collection. So happy early birthday.
You knew what to bring me, bro. I like that.
All right, let's get into it.
Okay, so Councilman, when you read this investigation, what stood out to you? I mean, was it the money, the missed warnings, the whole culture inside that particular department? I mean, this was stunning.
All of it. Not only stunning, but frustrating and angering. As a legislative body, I sit on the county council. You know, we have basically three functions. We legislate, we appropriate, and we conduct oversight. We are prohibited by our county's charter or constitution from, quote, interfering with the administration and operation of the government. That's for the executive branch. But we do have that oversight function. And when you read the reporting in the Seattle Times, which followed on, I want to say, our auditor's work,
yes,
which I think is a point worth highlighting and something to be proud of. Since our county was restructured in 1968, we've had an independent auditor that sits in the legislative branch. And our auditor, Kimber Waltmanson, and her team went in and conducted this audit a couple years ago and last year and found these problems and began to identify them and wrote a pretty damning report. And then followed up when she wasn't seeing action by the department to have accountability. And it was a letter in my time on council like I've never seen. She was raising serious red flags about problems with the program, problems with some of the grant recipients, and then, gee, as you point out, the lack of accountability and action. And that's generated some responses, including legislative and others, which we can get into.
Okay, but let's talk about that, because even before the money was raised and even before the money was given, it was like there were concerns about this would just be a blank check. This would be, there was nothing in place. And then sure enough, what was feared actually came to fruition. And as you pointed out, this was found by an auditor. But the auditor also only looked at a small portion. Right. I mean, it could even be much worse than what we're talking about. How is it that a department that gets that much money has zero accountability?
Well, I don't think there is zero accountability. There clearly have been some very serious missteps, and we can look at what caused that. First of all, the sampling here occurred in what's called our Best Starts for Kids program. That's a voter-approved program. It's really a tremendous program. And one of the sad things about this is a lot of the good work that I think they do for young people, infants, children, young adults, is being seriously tarnished. And you can understand why when you read reporting like that. You ask those questions. Well, is it all bad? This is a program that puts school health clinics in, that supports those. It helps new moms with babies and infants that maybe are below the poverty line to get them a healthy start. The whole purpose of this program, which is an $880 million 6-year program in its second renewal, is to get kids off to a better start so they don't show up at the other stuff we do at the county, the sheriff, the prosecutor, the jail, and all of the costs that go with that. We're trying to get people off to a good start, but it's got to be run well. It is governed by a 180-page plan. It's on the website. It has strategies. And one of the challenges here, I think, that has led to, or maybe not a challenge, one of the things that has led to this, Ursula, is there was a shift to say, let's fund some smaller startup organizations. And these organizations, which were really the ones identified by the auditor, in most cases didn't have the experience, didn't have the capacity to, I think maybe they were more optimistic than capable to deliver on some of the programs. They fell down. There's also some that just defrauded us. People clearly stole money. You can just see it. And I am very frustrated that there has not been more action to have accountability on that. We're going to have a report coming out pretty soon from a private accounting firm, Clark Nuber, who we've hired to review those contracts. And that, I think, can serve as the basis to take next steps in terms of civil recoveries and perhaps even criminal cases. And there should be.
You listen to the voice of King County Councilmember Rod Dembowski. Oh, Dembowski. I'm sorry. I mean, that's your name.
Imagine being in politics with that name.
Rod Dembowski here on the Gee and Ursula Show. Okay, Rod.
Yes, sir.
Everything that's happening right now, is it incompetence or is it a broken system?
There is definitely some incompetence, and there's definitely components of a broken system. A broken system in that we as a government swamped this department coming through COVID with all of those billions of federal dollars, literally billions that were delivered to us, to keep the community going, in addition to standing up this revised Best Starts for Kids program, doing all the housing work they do. We put a lot of money, $1.8 billion. It kind of doubled in 2 years. And they didn't keep up. They had staff turnover. They had leadership changes. There were a lot of contributing factors, but none of it excuses the stealing of money and the mismanagement of programs. And that we've got to fix.
So you're saying that there's both, right?
Yeah.
You're saying there's incompetence and you're saying there's a broken system, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So with that being said, I would assume that you understand frustration from taxpayers.
I'm
Fair enough?
very frustrated.
Okay. So this is a very simple. Have any contractors been held financially accountable with any penalties, any bans, so that we taxpayers, folks that are in King County, can understand better what's going on? Or is the expectation for people hearing this to be like, hey, business as usual?
No, I think we're on the precipice of holding them accountable with this report that's going to come back from the Clark Nuber firm.
So there will be. There will be. So there will be names and accountability.
Yes, we've identified
Potentially criminal charges.
if there's actual theft. I think there ought to be, and I've talked to our auditor's office about that. I have personally referred some of these matters to the Ombuds office, which is another independent oversight function. But on the bar issue, that's actually a piece of legislation I want to bring. If you have been found, and the federal government does this, if you've been found to have defrauded us or seriously not lived up to your contractual obligations, no more money, no more contracts. And we've got some programs that have a bad track record. I mean, we're not followed a lot, but I actually voted against a budget, a very rare thing to do, with 3 of my colleagues a couple years ago, because it not only continued to fund a particular juvenile justice program, but it gave them more money when it showed they were failing and there were problems with it. You don't always win as a legislator. You got to have 5 votes on the county council. But it takes work to suss this out. But we're on it, I would say.
Okay. Can we just follow up on what you just said?
Sure.
You were one of 3
Yes.
on the non-winning side of voting. So what is the reasoning behind continuing to fund a juvenile justice rehabilitation program that has proven not to be doing what they say that they're going to be doing?
Well, one of my colleagues, I'll never forget it, she said, well, they say they need this much, and it was millions more dollars to show that they actually can succeed. I mean, that was stated on the dais. That didn't carry the day for me. I think we're going to hopefully we'll see a big restructure of that particular program, and some new faces.
First of all, you're listening to the voice of King County Councilmember Rod Dembowski here on the Gee and Ursula Show. He's live here in studio. Something that I want to piggyback off the very beginning of what Ursula asked. In your opinion, why do you think King County continued paying contractors after the warning, after being alerted that there were potential issues of misuse of funds, but there was still a continuation of paying the contractors? So I know you said the comment like, if there was theft. Okay, you guys will find that out in the report. Yeah. We want to know who kept saying keep paying the contractors.
Yeah, who's the boss? I mean, I want to know a name. Like who was in charge of this department when this was happening?
Well, it was the head of the Department of Community and Human Service at the time, a gentleman named Leo Floor. And then Leo eventually left, and Leo did a lot of good, but there clearly were some challenges in the department. And then another director came in after him. She was not reappointed by our new county executive, Gurmai Zahalai. He has taken this pretty seriously, very seriously, I would say. He's got new leadership in there. A woman who I have a lot of confidence in, Susan McLaughlin, who's going to be up for confirmation. Now, we'll have an opportunity to ask Ms. McLaughlin at her confirmation hearing some serious questions about what she intends to do. I think this department has gotten too big. It needs to be broken up and restructured. We should perhaps take the housing function off and set it over here, but it's gotten way too big. And I also think we've got to shrink the scope of these programs. You can't reasonably administer 560 contracts. Mm-hmm. It's too many. It's too many. And the intent was good. Hey, let's get $100,000 to this group or $300,000 to that group. The return on benefit to try and get into these small community groups, we have to seriously take a look at whether that was smart. You've got to have a reasonable number of contracts to staff, and clearly that ratio got out of line.
Did anyone, we talked about potential criminal charges or civil liabilities, but did anyone lose their job over this blatant incompetence?
I don't have that level of detail, Ursula. I will tell you, we're still kind of learning all that's going on, and I would say with the new administration, Executive Zahalai's administration coming in, the second DCHS director, she lost her job, and we have Susan McLaughlin who's going to come in. I was troubled by the Seattle Times reporting about a whistleblower who apparently lost his job. Now there's litigation on that. That didn't sit well with me, and that's the first time that we had seen that. I will just say the county has 19,000 employees. We're a $20 billion biennial government. It's big, and our visibility at the legislative level is somewhat limited at times. And I will just say it's a credit to the free press in America. You guys, the Times, KUOW, all of who have investigated this, that surfaces these things so we can learn about it and take action.
You're listening to King County Councilmember Rod Dembowski. So you mentioned that you're grateful for the press. Why does it take a Seattle Times investigation to surface this? And I guess given that King County has many departments that get a lot of money, does this make you want to look at every department and have similar guardrails? It seems like it's screaming for that.
Yeah, let me go back again and say one of the greatest assets that King County taxpayers have working for them is our King County auditor. And that is an independent auditor in the legislative branch. We have rarely funded them fully. They are a quality operation, and they go systematically. Every year we approve their work plan, and they go around the government and do these audits of all departments, and they report out, and they give their recommendations, and then they follow up. So example, for just by way of this, they gave 10 recommendations to the department on reforms they need to make. In the next few days, we're going to get a status report. I understand that some have been completed. Most of them they're working toward completing them. So it'll take a little time, but that auditor's office is important. We are proposing some additional things. I've proposed that we have an inspector general to fill a gap. And the gap is this. You saw in the Seattle Times reporting that some community members were reaching out and raising concerns about some of these providers. You've got to have an independent person who can take that complaint and run with it. Our auditor does systematic stuff, but a specific complaint of fraud, we need to have a fraud hotline, and we need to have somebody with power who can go investigate. There's a reason why President Trump has fired a lot of inspector generals or inspectors general at the federal level, because they're independent and they highlight and go after bad conduct. And I want this person to be able to bring actions for recovery of lost funds, to refer matters for criminal investigation, have full power, have subpoena power for records. You've seen the reporting. There's been requests for documents from some of the providers, and they say, yeah, no, we're not going to do that.
Rod, I got to tell you, I'm grateful that you came in studio to answer these questions. I can tell that, and I'll be honest with you, my confidence is what's going on with King County and all this. I tell you, it's less now than when you came in, but that's because you've been telling the truth about what's going on. So I'll say this. That's just my opinion, and I hope in this next report, and I hope in the future I can be proven wrong, and I can come on here and say I'm wrong. So here's my question to you. There's a lot of people that are listening right now, including myself. Tell me why I should believe, considering Leo left, Dow left, all these folks are gone. Tell me why we should believe that things are going to get right.
Well, I think that, first of all, let me just say, we're all mad. And sometimes when you're mad and upset, you want to throw everything out, baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah.
The county, let me just say, it does a lot of good, but a lot of good. We've preserved thousands of acres of green space. We run a pretty good bus system. It's got work to do there. We run a great public health clinic system. We have Harborview Hospital. We have a terrific sheriff's office. We do a lot of good. And that phrase, one bad apple can spoil the whole bunch. We got a little bit of that going here. Like any government of this size or any organization, you're going to have some problems. Our job and our responsibility is to say what caused this. First of all, acknowledge that they're real. Don't throw them. Don't push them under the rug. They're serious. They do cost the confidence of the people, and then address them. But address them in a serious way, in a way that's designed to make sure it doesn't happen again, or if it does happen, that there are consequences. That's the best that we can do. Is you have a system, an infrastructure that identifies problems and takes action to address them. And I know we want it to go fast, but we also want it to be right. It's got to be done right.
Rod, I got to tell you, man, y'all doing a lot of good things, but the stuff y'all doing bad is bad.
I agree with you.
You know what I'm saying?
1,000%.
If I come home and I'm like, hey, baby, but I go to work, I tell my wife I go to work, I brush my teeth, I take a shower, do all these things, but I'm coming home late at night. You got to do the right thing.
But what I appreciate doing the right thing is you coming in here explaining.
Yes.
And can we have you again soon? Give us an update on the whole Inspector General proposal, where that is.
Be happy to come in anytime and keep you updated and answer questions.
We appreciate that.
If an elected can't do that, they're in the wrong line of work.
I agree. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And by the way, before we go, Ursula, thank you for doing that. Rod, I appreciate you, though. I appreciate that you came in here to really answer these questions, because it wasn't easy. So thank you for that.
Thank you both for your interest and for what you do.
Appreciate it.
Great parts of our community.
All right.